Okay, and so now on to the really juicy stuff, defense. I would like to welcome Colonel Marcin Mazur to the stage, and also retired Major General Pascal Legai. Hi. Grab a microphone, guys. So I had a very brief conversation with Pascal before we started today, and I think it's a good idea, given the very sensitive role of defense in space at the moment, that you guys give a quick intro yourselves as to what exactly you do, both for ESA and then also for Pulsar too, Marcin. So Pascal, yours.
Yes, you said I am retired. In fact, not. I'm still active general of the French Air and Space Force. I am, yes. I am younger than what you said. Just to say that I spend a big part of my professional activities in the military domain, mainly space for military operations. This is my national DNA, I would say. Then I moved to the EU Satellite Center as the director of the EU SATCEN. And after this EU experience, I started this ESA new experience as a security advisor to the ESA Director General. When I speak about security, that means how to use space systems, space capacities to face international security challenges or threats. This is my job today.
Excellent. Marcin.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me here. I'm actually active military, appointed to the civilian body, which is quite unusual comparing to other national agencies. I'm responsible for security and defense in the agency, just to systemize the efforts from civilian and military point of view, just to merge the understanding and merge the consequences, the resources, the financing budgets all together, just to help to get to the point where we are able to use the space.
I mean, maybe we'll just start with the Polish example, because I think in a few weeks you're launching the first Polish military satellite. Is that correct?
That's right. That will be in November. One of the first one. This constellation is actually the military one, the purely military one, not the one which we developed with ESA help as a civilian constellation. But you are absolutely right. That will be the first military which will belong to MOD.
And so, as a frontline country, with regards to Russia in the east and with regards to the war that Russia is waging on Ukraine, how does a traditionally civilian agency in Pulsar handle national defense too? And is that something that you see as a phenomenon in many space agencies, especially in Europe these days?
Of course. Our location gives us the opportunity to see the consequences of different activities, which is the aim to minimize the use of the space capabilities, to reduce the data, products or services coming from space, and the activities, the interferences which I'm talking about, are the activities which were used to design or used for military operations in the past, and nowadays they are more common globally. And as a civilian agency, we are investing in infrastructure, not only on space but also on the ground to indicate the activities, to collect the information, to provide to customers of GNSS services to be aware about the activities. But it's the consequence of nowadays of daily life. It's important to have different type of sources, right? To diversify them, to have not only the one which we may have, the military or the governmental sources, but also different ones.
I think, Pascal, at ESA we've seen quite a huge revolution that's been quickly happening behind the scenes, right, over the last few years. Maybe some might say, I don't know if this is entirely true, but this is the biggest change in operational philosophy maybe since the inception of the agency in the 1970s, and that's the increased presence in defense. It's inevitable now that if you're the European Space Agency, you need to be focused in some way on defense and security. Can you just perhaps talk the audience and me through how that's happened and where we stand today?
So you are fully right. In the recent past, even to say security was considered a provocation when we speak about security in ESA. Today, even the word defense, it's something, I would say, more normal. And but for me, if ESA is moving probably step by step to more defense activities, it's first and foremost the member states' decision. The member state, ESA member state, will decide if we do or not more security and defense-related activities. It's the first point. My personal opinion, the fact that at a time of budgetary constraints, to optimize resources, it would be a mistake not to use ESA for these kind of activities. And coming back to what my colleague Didier Schmidt said before, the ESA DNA, it's research and development, technical activities in general, and we don't have an operational orientation. We don't deliver services to end users, to people on the ground, but what we can do is to develop capacities, systems, and hand over to these systems to operational actors to deliver services. We build satellite systems. This is our job, not to feed and to support directly end users. This is the first important point. Concerning what ESA could do in this security and possibly defense domain, if we examine the situation of ESA today, the legal context, we have this famous Article 2 of the ESA Convention to work for exclusively peaceful purposes. So we have the different, we have a legal interpretation of this Article 2, and peaceful purposes, that means fundamentally non-aggressive in the sense of the UN Charter. Defense, by definition, is non-aggressive. So legally speaking, could be possible to refer to this convention, Article 2 in particular, to work more in the defense context. The second important point is about, this is a remark, and it was also my feeling when I joined ESA 6 years ago. It was the temple of science, but to protect and to handle classified or sensitive data was not exactly the job of ESA. I have a totally different opinion today. ESA is a fully focused on this security protection of data activities, and we have the proper level to handle again classified information in particular. Secure context. Technically speaking, we have in ESA top-level engineers, researchers, and of course we can use these technical skills to build also systems for not only civil purposes. And by the way, in technical terms, ESA has a long-standing experience in the dual-use activities. Copernicus is an example, Galileo PRS. We have also ARTES 4S for the telecommunications, and Ludwig knows very well this part. Future EO, etc. So it's not something new. We are not starting from scratch, but a long-standing experience in the dual-use activities. Just to conclude on this, what it would be very clever for me when we start a new system, to build a new system, to have a dual-use by design approach. To make savings, why just to limit to civil or civilian needs? It would be possible to include also defense requirements in the process with not a big extra cost. This is my feeling, and to have at the end an optimal system to cover different activities. And the last point I would like to mention, it's about cyber. We speak a lot about cyber in many good speeches, but when we are looking for concrete implementation of the cyber domain, we have this concrete example of ESA. ESA has a dedicated cyber center in Redu, Belgium. This center will be very soon operational for training for operations. We have an excellence center plus an operations center in this cyber context, ESA cyber context, open to member states. And it's a way also to be part of this big process, big picture of security and defense.
Thank you. And so, Marcin, as far as how a pretty big ESA member country plugs into that, well, what is the Pulsar perspective now on, for example, major satellite constellations, so IRIS Squared and the new reconnaissance system, but also any specific, more direct defense assets? I'm thinking here theoretically about offensive counter space capabilities, things that a national government might need.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I would say the expectation is to be more open and to be responsive to the actually current geopolitical situation, right? To requirements and needs which we face. And I fully agree with what Pascal said, that it's not the expectation to operate the constellation, to operate the satellite, but to help, to react, or to help nations to be ready for any reaction. And when we take into account, for instance, the newest EU space strategy for security and defense, those principles are well defined, and we had in the morning some discussion about it, about autonomy, about resilience, about own constellations. It's all about to help the nations to be prepared and to be more independent in space exploration, right? When we talk about reducing the reliabilities, right? It's the area where the nations expect ESA to support. Of course, when we look into Poland, for instance, we decided to put some investments in Earth observation, for instance. The constellations which you mentioned, the military one or the civilian ones. We want to be also partner in IRIS Square as a European constellation with our own satellites, being a part of the family of satellites. But also, we are a pretty big member of USST organization to be partner with several sensors located globally on all continents. So we want to play the significant role in the EU, in Europe, but also we have some defined expectation from ESA to play, to help us to build the competency.
Let's get into that. What exactly is ESA doing to meet those expectations? And if Europe wants to be a space power and be able to project the deterrence factor, what needs to happen now, Pascal?
You speak in operational terms, in budgetary terms, or?
I think it all comes down to money at the end, right?
Yes.
Including in Bremen in a few weeks.
Yes. So I would like to focus mainly on this money-wise, or resources and budget. I said the situation is a bit critical, and to be a space power, we have in Europe today a big public debt, and we have this obligation of prioritization of spendings. And I would say for me, what is important to start is to examine what we can do with the existing systems. First. We don't need to build new systems. We have existing systems, and to see how is it possible to use them probably in a more optimal way, and to give the possibility to this system to be interconnected together, to have interoperability, and to get the most of the systems. Existing system. The second category is the planned systems. By definition, not existing, but planned. We know that IRIS Square will come in the future, the near future, we hope. So for the planned system also, we have already resources dedicated to develop this system. For me, the priority is concerning the capability gaps, to identify the capability gaps in particular in terms of revisit, to have very quick reactivity to release data, less than 1 hour, less than 30 minutes, for instance. This is an approach. So the priority for me would be on the capability gaps to focus on. What is also very important to consider, space systems, the initial cost is not the most expensive part of the system life. What is very expensive is the operation cost, the maintenance, and also to keep the system at the top of the technology. After 5 or 10 years, the system is, a priori, is outdated, and you have to rebuild something. So when we have to plan the budget, not to build the system at the beginning, but also to see how what will be the investment in the future for this system. And it's why a collective system is better, because it's a way to optimize resources, to share this spending, and to keep this collective system at the proper level. And just to say from a military point of view, what we are looking for in terms of operational capacities is to have the full package. When you deploy people, civil mission or military operation, is to have access to Earth observation through telecommunications, PNT, or also to have SSA, SST capacities, space weathers, etc., technology at the proper level and properly used in the operational context. So we need the full package and to have a more integrated approach. Not to consider space as a separate silos or pillars, but to have a horizontal approach to integrate the full system in one single service at the end for the end users.
Any questions on this side of the room first? You see any hands up? Not sure there is. Anybody? Torsten here at the front. Hello.
It's for the interview, Torsten.
No, will be an easy one, don't worry. So Torsten Krinning, Spacewatch Global. Thank you very much for your comments. So we see that ESA, EU, the national programs, Denmark, Germany, are raising their budgets on the defense side. What is great to cover, now I have to take my glasses here, SSA, ZAR, Earth observation data, COMS, ISR, PNT, all these wonderful three-letter abbreviations. And they all will create more data. What is great. But how will this data solve our problems that we have today in information? And how can we overcome, because you both are active military and you know exactly what I'm talking about, how do we overcome the limitations of data sharing across nations when it comes to the defense sector?
Of course, yeah, I fully agree that data information is the beginning. From military point of view, there's a set of eight areas: doctrine, organization, training, material, leadership, and whatsoever. So people are one of the key elements, definitely. Infrastructure to help us to exploit the data, to provide the information to the customers who require the information. But I agree that the biggest challenge nowadays, which we face and we will face, is the people, right? The specialists who can use the information properly, who can exploit the information data properly, and to provide the answer which our key leaders require.
Maybe to add something, if I may. So data is a central substance, because what we want to do, for instance, with the ERS, European Resilience from Space program proposal, is first to optimize the data collection, then to optimize the data transmission, and then to optimize the data transformation from raw data into actionable information. And for that, optimized data collection, we need to interconnect systems, national, institutional, Copernicus, for instance, and commercial as well, but it's on a voluntary basis, because the system owners, they decide to share or not their capacity, and they will share if they see an interest to share. For instance, the commercial actors, ISI, GEOS, and others, possibly, we have some representatives in the room, possibly, for business opportunities, if they have possible, I would say, interconnection with another commercial system, that there is something interesting to explore and to do. And also at national level, because I have many visits, bilateral visits with national actors, some member states are pretty eager and supportive to share their national capacities, also with others. Because if we consider a high-intensity situation, high-intensity conflict, Ukraine is a good example, the national systems will never suffice, will never be sufficient to face the situation. You need to have additional capacities from other member states, from other systems, commercial support, etc. And for this, you need to guarantee this interoperability, the interconnectivity with other national capacities, with EU capacities, even for with the commercial systems, to have this data in due time, and to have also the technical and human resources to exploitation of the data at the end as well. We will follow our discussion after.
I think you're going to be following up later as well. It's probably to be continued. Any questions on this side of the room? Nope. Then one from me about funding again. It seems there's been, it doesn't seem, I think there has been quite a significant upswing in defense spending over recent years. At an EU level, it's yet really to be fully defined exactly how much will go on space. But it's clear it's going to be multiples of what went on space in the previous 7-year budget. Do you also get a sense, Pascal, that this boost, the bolstering of defense spending generally across Europe for very good reason, is also filtering into increased enthusiasm to fund ESA programs too?
Yes, this is a national decision to use, I would say, defense money, defense budget for ESA activities. And there is possibly a good reason for that. The fact that, you know, this 5% NATO target, and it is possible if some member states decide to invest money in ESA activities, to include this money in the 5% GDP spending. The conditions were conditions to invest in dual-use activities is one of conditions. On research and development, some activities of research and development are also offer the possibility to include in the 5%. So there is also this possibility to optimize money and resources, investing in ESA for dual-use activities in particular, and to include this in the NATO target.
And I'm not sure anybody, maybe Russia, because that's a very different economy, but I don't think anybody in the Western world is spending more on defense per capita compared to Poland, right? I mean, nearly 5% now. Are you seeing a lot of that attention going on space assets, like the satellite you're going to launch next month?
Well, it is the question how we want to build or how we want to get the capabilities, by procurement or by development. And of course, if we think about development and involving unmature industry, that the ESA channel is the way which is popular in Poland, and we follow that way. But of course, any nation, any capital can decide to have the capabilities right now, so to do it faster by procurements. And there's also one of the channels MOD uses nowadays, which includes the MOD budgets.
And there has been quite a hotbed of, I mean, some of it, a lot of it is actually in Finland, right? With ISI and the guys, but these are Polish engineers, at least one, the guy that runs it, Rafa. So there's quite a significant startup scene around Polish space and defense and reconnaissance imagery as well, right?
I hope you are not asking me what nationality is behind the ISI, but of course, it is a part of cooperation, European cooperation, that you start in one country and then you spread out to others and other continents. And I'm happy that that kind of startup is so well developed right now and is able to provide capabilities around the world, of course.
And Pascal, to conclude, a sense just on how prepared Europe is right now, generally, to protect itself when it comes to its space assets, because we're funding and we will continue to fund very expensive satellite constellations in space, right, that need to be defended, and that's much of the work that's ongoing at the moment. I've been to the Toulouse French Space Command Center. I've spoken to other folks in Germany and the UK about space defense. How equipped are we really to defend Europe's assets right now? And what kind of timeline can we expect to see this improved to be competitive with our enemies and also our allies?
Just to my reaction for this question, the fact that today you mentioned this French Space Command you visited. So at national level, we have more and more space commands, a German Space Command, a French one, a UK one, etc., Spanish one. The main mission, my understanding of these space commands, are to protect their governmental military systems. Discussing with my the French general, commanding officer of the French Space Command, I said, what about the civilian systems and the commercial system? Do you want to protect them as well? At the moment, my understanding is not exactly the mission of the space commands, but it's vital because our daily life is totally depending on these civil capacities, and we have also this duty to protect them. Yeah, this is an open issue. The deadline for this, I don't know. This is to be taken into account for the future. And when I spoke about the ESA Cyber Center, this is part of the process to protect our systems.
Then excellent. Then thank you. Well, you want one more comment?
Yes, just to say a big thank you to Ludwig Moller and the SP team, first for this invitation today, but mainly for your great job you are doing in general, and it's always a pleasure. And my pleasure also to share to be on stage today with Joshua and Marcin as well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, so from defense to our final concluding topic of this trilogy.